It had a budget of over $2 million and was meant to be Disney's next billion-dollar remake. But what they got instead was a global embarrassment. Rated 2 stars across nearly every continent, averaging just 1.6 out of 10 across 46 countries. Fans united in a way no one saw coming, not to celebrate it, but to collectively destroy it. And honestly, it's not surprising. Take, for example, the trailer released on December 3rd, 2024, which should have sparked nostalgia and magic, but instead triggered worldwide outrage. The backlash was so instant and severe that people weren't just disliking it, they were hunting it down across Disney's channels just to tear it apart.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion, but the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
And at the center of the storm was not a poisoned apple, but Rachel Zegler, Disney's newly crowned Snow White, who somehow managed to insult the original film, the audience, and the very concept of fairy tales, all before the movie even released. And at the center of the disaster was none other than Rachel Zegler, a no-name actress. Disney handed their most iconic role to her with zero hesitation and seemingly zero oversight. Before anyone even saw the film, Rachel had already done what the evil queen couldn't: destroy Snow White from the inside out. In one interview, she called the 1937 original weird and Prince Charming a stalker, then bragged about rewriting the entire plot so Snow White didn't dream of a true love, but wanted to be a leader instead. Nothing says Magic Kingdom like corporate feminism and emotional detachment.
She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
The backlash was instant. Even the trailer's comment section turned into a war zone. Fans weren't just confused, they were furious. The plot was unrecognizable, the tone bleak, and the visuals looked like a high-budget fan film that forgot to color correct. It didn't help that Rachel then insisted she deserved more money because she had to stand in a dress for 18 hours during filming. The internet took that quote and ran with it, turning it into a full-blown meme campaign that basically rebranded the movie as Snow White and the Seven Entitlement.
I just still cannot get over Rachel Zegler's tone in all of these videos, the smugness, and that has been a huge part of the conversation online about Snow White, especially after this latest video came out of her at the picket line for the SAG-AFTRA strike. And remember, SAG-AFTRA, that is the actors union, they are on strike right now, trying to get fair wages, trying to rework some contracts. Anyway, here's what she had to say about the strike.
If I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
If I'm gonna stand in a dress all day long, we do that, all women do that anyway. You know what, we walk around in dresses, and we don't get paid for it, Rachel.
But somehow, Disney made things even worse. Instead of casting actual dwarves to the iconic 7 dwarves, they opted for bizarre CGI creatures that look like something from a mobile ad for a game you'd never install. Disney claimed this was to avoid stereotypes, yet they replaced 7 possible acting jobs with digital abominations. And yes, the real dwarf acting community filed a lawsuit against Disney, calling the decision insulting and discriminatory. One dwarf actor bluntly stated, 7 talented little people could have had roles in this film. Disney gave them to cartoons. And he wasn't wrong. The CGI dwarves didn't just look bad, they looked like AI-generated background characters from a bad mobile game ad. And somehow they got more screen time than 5 of the actual named actors. Meanwhile, fans started noticing something strange during interviews between Rachel Zegler and co-star Gal Gadot. In multiple clips, Rachel wouldn't look at Gal while she was speaking, often staring at the floor or looking away completely, fueling rumors that tension between the two had reached a boiling point.
Fans noticed sometime between 2023 and 2024 that Gal and Rachel may have developed some tension. As you can see in this interview, Gal is being professional, looking and smiling while Zegler is speaking. But whenever Gal is speaking, Zegler refuses to look at her, often looking down at her feet or off to the side. Their body language screams that there is tension between them, and these assumptions would be proven true. When Disney released the official trailer for Snow White, Rachel thanked the fans for their support, receiving over 120 million views in 24 hours. Gal Gadot is Israeli and even served in their military. Gal has been outwardly supportive of her country, specifically posting support for the IDF and civilian hostages taken during the October 7th Hamas attack. Almost immediately, Gal began getting a concerning amount of death threats. Things got so bad that Disney had to hire a personal security detail for Gadot.
And then it exploded after Rachel used her massive trailer announcement to say, "Always remember Free Palestine," while Gal Gadot, an Israeli military veteran, stood silently next to her. Disney reportedly had to hire private security for Gal and send producer Mark Platt to New York just to shut Rachel up. Mark's own son even chimed in online, defending the meeting, saying his father had to fly across the country to reprimand Rachel for dragging her personal politics into a multi-million-dollar Disney project, calling it adult responsibility, and blaming her narcissism for risking the livelihood of thousands of cast and crew. And yet, Rachel's response to the box office failure wasn't an apology or reflection. It was an Instagram caption about how she hopes people will still line up to see her, like she's a broken statue in the Louvre.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
The ego was so detached from reality that even fans who liked her in West Side Story had started questioning if she was an industry plant, planted not to grow, but to rot the foundation of a billion-dollar franchise. Things got so bad, Disney had to cancel their entire London premiere just 2 days before the event after early predictions showed it would lose over $100 million if they dared screen it internationally. Instead, they panicked, terminated press access, restricted interviews, and tried to silence the only thing louder than the movie's dialogue, Rachel Zegler herself.
Well, Disney premieres are typically grand spectacles. Think Leicester Square, London, transformed into a glittering stage with flashing cameras, A-list celebrities, and excited fans lining the streets. But not this time. For a film with a staggering £212 million budget, that's one of Disney's most expensive projects this year, there will be no such celebration on British soil. Instead, Disney has opted for a handful of tightly controlled press events with limited media access and restrictions on questions posed to its lead actress, Rachel Zegler.
Even when Disney tried to clean up the damage, their attempts backfired. Fans dug through Zegler's social media and found a treasure chest of political rants, personal attacks, and statements targeting entire groups of people. One post showed her wishing the MAGA movement shall know no peace, all because someone disagreed with her casting. That alone nuked any remaining goodwill for the film. And instead of apologizing, she responded by making TikToks like she was starring in a musical about her own cancellation. And if all that wasn't enough, the movie itself was somehow even worse. The plot had been rewritten to reflect Zegler's personal politics, turning Snow White from a fairy tale princess into a feminist warrior on a leadership quest.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
It's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
They have been making this film for a very long time.
No charming prince, no whimsical forest, just a weirdly angry girl boss in a CGI forest ranting about power structures and social justice while the dwarves wandered around like extras waiting for direction. Critics called it a preachy mess. One review said, Zegler's Snow White is a joyless bore. Another said, this isn't a remake, it's a hostage situation. One YouTuber compared the CGI dwarves to 7 bad filters on Snapchat. And somehow that still wasn't the worst part.
You have another clip of what she did the first time. Is this the one?
Yes, because if you remember, this movie was delayed, and then at one point they couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
Do you have
took
a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like?
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of
dwarves.
Yep, but they actually ended up, that was too controversial. They had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves instead of actual
And
dwarves.
those dwarves were never used.
No, then they upset the dwarves that weren't used in the film because the dwarves were upset that it was going to hurt their acting career that they got pulled out of the movie.
That's so, you cannot make...
Rob, I just
Snow
sent you
White and the
picture
7
of the-
Dwarves
Watch,
didn't have dwarves.
There you
So
go.
those guys didn't make it.
No.
That guy's 6'2".
So what did they replace these guys with?
That's Sleepy, that's Drunky, that's Cokehead.
But what did they
that's
replace
Tully,
it with,
that's
Rob?
Blackie.
Jesus. These are the
Little
ones
guy.
You're joking.
When the film finally hit theaters on March 21st, 2025, it opened to an embarrassing $43 million domestically on a budget north of $200 million, meaning they didn't even recover the cost of the press tour. Theaters were empty, not a kid in sight, no families, no costumes, just silent rooms and popcorn machines running on autopilot. Entire screenings sold less than 10 tickets. Some theaters didn't sell a single seat on opening night. One Reddit user posted a video of his local cinema completely deserted, except for him and a confused employee asking if he was lost. Except for him and a confused employee asking if he was lost.
Okie dokie. I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the walk we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
The merchandise section was even sadder. Shelves of untouched Snow White dolls and dwarf figurines gathered dust next to the Marvel's clearance rack. One Disney store had to mark everything down to 90% off just to get someone to take it. And still, no one wanted them, as Morbius moved more merch than it. Disney tried pretending that Backlash was just political noise, but even neutral fans hated it. Nobody cared about the message if the movie was good, but it wasn't. It was a chore, and people don't pay $14.99 for chores. As the reviews poured in, the numbers got even uglier. Disney's once unstoppable fairytale machine had officially turned into a content graveyard. Rotten Tomatoes refused to certify it. IMDb tanked to 1.6 out of 10. And YouTube was flooded with video essays titled things like "Snow White ruined my birthday" and "Disney just lit $200 million on fire." Even the Daily Wire tried to step in and make a counter-production starring Brett Cooper. But at least Brett managed to be, well, white and not openly hostile to the original material in any way possible. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler somehow made it worse by going on strike, demanding more money from a movie she was actively sabotaging. Fans called it the boldest hostage negotiation attempt in Hollywood history. She wanted a bigger paycheck after publicly torching the project that gave her the role in the first place. That's like burning down a restaurant and asking for a raise because you were the chef.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
And even after Disney tried ghosting her from press appearances, she couldn't stop herself from resurfacing just long enough to throw more shade on conservatives, fans, and anyone who dared say she wasn't perfect. At one point, even comparing online backlash to oppression during an award show acceptance speech, which ended in scattered claps and more clips for creators to roast on TikTok.
Vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on, go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
At one point, Disney tried to distract the internet by quietly casting Cynthia Erivo as Jesus in another upcoming project, because apparently offending half the internet with one casting choice wasn't enough. They wanted to speedrun their way to losing the other half, too.
Is this some of this casting that's just gone too far? What are they going to do? I mean, don't you think it's... And again, I don't care about skin colour. I don't care whether black, white, Asian, I don't care. But it just has to be a male actor.
Cynthia Erivo just announced she is playing the role of Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl in her return to Broadway. Now, I thought this was fake at first. I couldn't believe it, but this is confirmed by many sources. If you don't know who this actor is, she played the role of the witch in Wicked, one of the biggest movies out, which makes her one of the most trending actors right now. So a lot of people are going to be watching this. As a Christian, I find this very disrespectful. Why? Because this is our Lord and Savior. This isn't some cultural, political, or movie icon that you can mold and change into anyone you want for some industry entertainment agenda. I'm not here to spread hate, but whenever there's a religious movie of any kind, I believe that the religious figures should be represented very accurately. This is something that should be studied. This isn't something, like I said, that is just molded into whatever they want. Again, I'm just here to stand up for what I believe in. These are my thoughts, and I think this is wrong. Let me know what you guys think about this, but absolutely wild.
And just when fans thought Disney couldn't possibly dig the hole deeper, they went head-to-head with Elon Musk after it was revealed they were among the companies trying to boycott Twitter to enforce more censorship. Musk clapped back and roasted their CEO in front of millions, calling out their hypocrisy.
How do you think then about the economics of X? If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
Why?
I understand that, but there's a reality too. Right?
Yes. No.
I mean, Linda Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So totally. No. Actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do? It's going to kill the company.
And do you think that
and the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say
tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say, Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things and that they were inappropriate things and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform. Right? That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
Okay.
While one of the USA's very popular insurance company CEOs made his shocking remarks about Disney. According to Patrick Bet-David, Disney has picked an enemy, not the kids who watch their movies, but the person who controls the remote, and many couldn't agree more.